Welcome to the Illuminated Path podcast. I'm your host, Liv, founder of Eno Wellness Collective. My wellness journey started with yoga, which led me down the path of exploring healing modalities like meditation, breath work, sound healing, mindset work, and so much more. This exploration inspired my mission to help others find what lights them up. Get comfortable and curious as we learn from experts, teachers, and creators who are lighting up their communities and living an inspired, expansive life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Illuminated Path podcast, and welcome to this very special episode of Tea Talk. So Tea Talk actually came about last year as an idea from one of our interns who suggested, let's bring people on the show, special guests, let's get listener questions, and let's have a little bit of a tea talk. So I'm super excited for today's episode because I brought my mom onto the show, very highly anticipated guest. So welcome to the show, Mom.
Thanks for
Jackie Marati.
Thanks for having me be here. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege.
So I put out to the ENA community to ask some questions for you, and I got a wealth of different kind of questions and just comments. They're like, yes, I can't wait to listen. I'm so excited for your mom, the Jackie, because, you know, for those who don't know, my mom is at every yoga class, event. You've been on every ENA retreat, ENA Wellfest. So you have really had a front row seat to obviously my life, but also the beginnings of all things ENA. But before we get into the questions, we have some really fun questions today to answer. But before we get into those, I did want to give people a little bit of context for your life. And, you know, the name of the podcast obviously is Illuminated Path. So it's walking people through and talking to people about what has their path looked like? Where have there been some pivots, forks in the road? Where has the path completely taken, you know, a new shape? And I know this, you know, over the very recently, you've entered into retirement, you become a grandma, you have had many different pivots and points. So yeah, would love for you to walk us through your path and some of the pivots that really stand out in your mind.
I think, and I know that in beginning my physical health journey, I did a lot of running. I overdid running. I ran 5 days a week. I ran at all the 5K runs, and I really overdid it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved, you know, just the feeling of the community, but it was not a sustainable thing. And I guess I didn't want to see it then, but I learned that it's not. And ultimately, when you start getting injuries, it just becomes a pivot for you. So I did that for quite a bit. And then I was going to the gym and I was doing, you know, a lot of spinning every day. Again, type A, got to do it every day, got to be the first one there, got to get my chair. And then, you know, things started happening in my life and I did not have the time or did not want to make the time for it. And I did some yoga. I did some Ashtanga yoga, which was a very intensive kind of yoga, and probably, again, burned out on that. And so I think I began to look at different options that I was looking at, and it was, how can I develop and have a sustainable kind of workout with people that I enjoy being with, that gives me the kind of release and the kind of really great feeling afterwards, no matter what. And I started going to you when you came back, and we were at Subaki, and we had those classes. You had a couple of full moons at different places, but I think in the end, what became really sustainable for me was not only the people that were there, because they're really, really good people who frequent the community events, but just the variety of the flow, the music. You know, I tell you this all the time. I love music, and I love the music that we go through. And at the end, I always feel really good. The other thing is I don't get injured. I don't get injured. And that was really an important thing for me. I had to stop getting so much into whatever the workout was. And then I burn out or I get injured. And this is just not good. And so I have enjoyed the yoga. I have enjoyed the community. I've enjoyed the retreats. I have enjoyed, Wellfest, all the events, sound bath, full moon, because they're really, really good, kind people that I've met. And so that's kind of where I am now. And I fully intend to stay here because it nurtures me, it nourishes me, and I feel good. As a matter of fact, I was talking to someone else, my sister, because she's been doing a lot of yoga as well. And we were comparing because we have to get our blood work done and we have to have our, quarterly appointments with the internist and stuff. My numbers are really good. I mean, my cholesterol numbers are good. Blood pressure, you could sleep to my blood pressure. But some of the things that used to inflammation markers, they've all significantly improved. And there's only one thing that's in common for all of those improvements, and it's the yoga. So I think it's helped me. But it's also given me, something to be excited about and make good friends with. And so that's kind of my journey. And that's where I am now.
And the ENA community, everyone that's come to an event, they always know you, right? That's why when I was saying, I'm bringing my mom on the podcast, they're like, yes, I want to learn about her and her life and just, some wisdom from you. I know in a lot of opening circles or in the circles and retreats, people are always looking to you for, that wisdom in some way. So before, again, we get into the questions, I do want to take people back a little bit, right? Into, before people on the ENA community know you as my mom, but you've obviously had a very full, rich life before motherhood and also like before wellness. And so I would love for you to share a little bit about that, and you can take us as far back as you would like, but give us a little bit of a who is Jackie that they might not know.
The Jackie they probably don't know is the Jackie that started working in Midtown Manhattan for Chase Manhattan Bank. I was the only graduate in my college that was accepted into a management training program. And it was hard as hell. It was competitive. Um, it was it was just so full of learning and growing and maturing. It was a full year for those of us who were just graduated from undergrad, and it was really tough. Um, I was then hired by Wells Fargo in San Francisco and was there for 9 years and had one of those. I was really at the right place at the right time in so many ways. Um, I started working with corporate customers. I did planning. I got a chance to work with the board and the CEO at the time. I was like in my 20s. Um, and what I really wanted to do as I was staying away from home was to grow and develop myself. I know that I could come back home and get pretty much any position that I was looking at, but I wanted to work hard. I wanted this to be on my own. Jackie Areola, who's that? And it was working hard. It was doing the best I could and earning, earning respect and earning, a lot of opportunity, not because of what my last name was, but because she's a hard worker, that one. You want her. And I did that. So I did that. And then I started a business with my then husband, and there was a lot of traveling. It was a lot of fun. It was a perfect opportunity to be raising kids because then I could stay at home. I could work. We were working remotely before working remotely was a thing. So I did that. And then, as the deed to come home came about, I was very ready. I knew and I know that my island is not perfect, but I was very ready to bring my children home, to have my parents and all my 7 brothers and sisters help to raise them, because I know I couldn't do it. And they were just, and my mom was alive then, my dad, and they just were so supportive everywhere we went. Christmas plays, piano recitals, dance recitals, they were there. And that was what I wanted for you. And we got that. And I was just so pleased with that. Um, After I came home, when I came home, I was working with the airport, and 2 major things happened. The Korean airline crash, which was, again, an incredible learning experience for me. And then at the same time, the military was giving back to Guam the land. And so we had to have negotiating meetings. So and we were doing the whole new airport. So it was just a really crazy, wild. I loved it. But I was ready for something different. And so, my, soon to be boss, now late boss, Tony Leon ran into me, so funny, at Townhouse Shoe Department. And he just said, "When are you going to come work for us?" And I said, "I'm ready." And so I worked for 23 years at Bank of Guam, was given enormous opportunities, got a chance to work with super people. He gave me a lot of, how should we say, leeway in what we were doing. And there was a lot of trust, obviously. He trusted that we could do the right thing. And for that, I'll be eternally grateful. He passed away. I had worked earlier with his dad, Mr. LG. So, wow, these are like icons in the Guam business world. After Tony passed away, Lou took over. I worked with her for about 8 years. Also learned just a tremendous amount. And then, new leadership came on board. And so it was super opportunities. There were a lot of changes going on in the industry and on island. But I'll say this, uh, always good opportunities, always wanting to listen. And then my sister got sick. And so I was her caregiver for a while. And while we were getting her treatment in the States, my dad died. Right after my dad died, within a month, I went to leadership and I gave them my resignation letter and I said, "I'm ready to leave." They were generous. They were understanding. And then I was able to take care of my sister until she died. My dad died in May, and then Lisa passed away the following May. And so those were 2 landmark events that occurred that made me grow so much, that made me very humble. I was very humble. There's nothing like seeing your baby sister die and suffer. And I just thought, this whole issue of time and the meaning of time and the value of time, this is it. If there's anything I learned from that, was keep people close to you who will be with you in the end, because that's what's important. And as we go around and we're going to different things and different events, I know that I watch decisions being made, and I know I would make a different choice, but the choice of being with people who care about you and who will be there for you, um, it's a good feeling to know you're in control and to know you can do something, because some people never have that chance. They pass away and they never knew it was going to happen. I mean, I know that all the time. I know of my brother's friends who are 10 years younger than me, and they're gone, and they never expected that to happen. Well, I know this is going to happen.
Mhm.
This is going to happen. And I need to be in a place and frame of mind where when I go, I am prepared and my children are prepared.
Well, we've just kicked off a sob fest over here. No, but I know that one of the themes that has been coming up a lot especially in the retreats settings more, is we go around the room and then so many people are expressing grief, caregiving, family repairs of some type, and it just continues to be this theme of, like, what when I ask that question of, like, what are people bringing in? And I know especially, in the past couple years after losing Pappy, after losing Auntie Lisa, and just, like, even the transition into retirement, like, people are resonating with your story, entering your 70s as they w if for people that are in their 20s, right, that are experiencing grief or caregiving, there's a lot of, like, overlap in like regardless of age. And that's what I love about, the story that you have, but also like how people can connect to these big, changes and transitions. Doesn't matter what age you are, right? Like people are experiencing this multiple times in different stages. And so yeah, thank you for sharing. Obviously, I know bits of a lot of that. And even as you're talking about being at the airport or being at the bank, I was like, I definitely vividly remember being in the airport office, like playing after school, being at the bank, like family Bank of Guam events, right? And just like having that be part of my childhood as well. So, this relates to a lot of the questions that have been asked, right? Because I think when people think, "Oh, what do I want to ask Liv's mom?" A lot of it has been around like a lot of the themes of the questions were around, timeless things that you've done or things that you would recommend for people that are a little bit younger that we should start thinking about and start doing. And so one of the questions that came through from Veronica, who I actually just had on the podcast recently, she asked, "What are three things all women should be doing if they haven't started or haven't done yet?" And a similar question came up around like, what are some timeless wellness practices that really grounded you during busy parts of your career? So yeah, what are some things that maybe we're not thinking about that we should be thinking about? And I would say mostly demographic of ENA wellness world would be women in their 30s and 40s. So what would that demographic yeah, what advice would you have?
Definitely take care of your friendships and your families.
Mhm.
Um, and this is interesting because I went through the whole retirement transition. I'm still going through it. You're going to learn who your friends are.
Mhm.
Because one day, you're like this hotshot, big boss kind of person, and the next day you're not.
Mhm.
And one day people are calling you, asking for help, asking for advice, asking you to speak here, asking you to do lots of things. And the next day they're not. So preparing yourself by getting grounded in really important relationships
Mhm.
is so, so important. Know who your friends are and cultivate those friendships. They say for women, the survival is in your friendships. And I think it's just so vital that we take care of our friends, we meet with them, we make time for our friends because we're always, I'm too busy. The kids, yeah, the kids, of course, the kids. But at some point, you will need people who value you for you. And so I think friends and family is really, really important. And taking care of those relationships is absolutely critical. Um, your spiritual life. Many people, I was away from the church for 10, 15 years. And I thought, uh, I can handle this. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm fine. And I'll never forget as I was learning to I was making some decisions about leaving San Francisco and coming back home and getting a divorce and that whole icky, messy, sticky thing. And I'll never forget being in church and just feeling this warmth. And I was asking God, you know, show me a sign.
Mhm.
And that sign was the warmth, the glow. And I said, okay. And then I talked to my mom. My mom was going to be like the big, boy, Catholic Daughters of America, you name it, she did it all. And she was the one who said to me, you need to leave this relationship. You are dying inside. Your eyes are blank. You're dying inside. And I think with my mom and my dad's support, and of course my siblings' support, I could not have made the move. So this, going back to the second thing, friends and family, spiritual, and then finally, taking care of yourself physically, whatever that is. I do my 2 days a week, with you, which I absolutely adore. At the end of every yoga session, I feel good. I mean, I'm breathing. I feel great. I also do some walking, and that kind of helps when I'm not doing yoga. So I do my walk, and I get fresh air, and it's a wonderful thing. So I think physical, whatever that is, if I could say, because a lot of people, particularly women, think, I have to sweat, I have to lift these weights, I have to do these lifts, I have to, run a half marathon. You know what? Maybe you do. But here's the thing. It's really important to figure out, what do you do after?
Yeah.
After
Recovery.
that? How do you recover? Because if you don't stretch, if you don't breathe, if you don't move your hands and just kind of take it all in and enjoy it, it becomes a job. And you don't want it. You don't want working out to be a job. And I think it becomes a job for many people. I have to do this, 20 minutes this, 30 minutes that, this weight, that weight. I mean, it's all, I don't know how meaningful that is, but I think it's much more important before and after to breathe. I think there was one time when you did a corporate retreat and people were saying, wow, I never do this. I don't know how to breathe. A lot of people.
Get that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Is that how you breathe? I never breathed that way. And it's like just learning and appreciating. I can't tell you how many times, whether it's pain, whether it's whatever, it's like, okay, take those deep breaths and it helps. And you're in charge and you're all right. So there's 3.
Okay, I love it. So the friends and
Friends and
family,
family,
spiritual, and then
physical,
focusing on
whatever
physical
it is that
recovery.
makes you feel good, really feel good.
I love it. So this is probably a little bit related to the friend piece that you were mentioning, which is, when you do make career pivots, things change, right? And you've made a couple of different pivots, whether it was banking and then the airport and then Bank of Guam and then just even the pivot to retiring. And so I noticed that a lot of people, younger and also peers of yours, tend to go to you naturally when they need them. Like, I need to talk to you. I need to, you're on a lot of lunch dates. People are asking you for career advice all the time. I obviously have asked you for a lot of career advice. My sister has asked you for a lot of career advice. So one of the questions that came through from Jarrett, who has also been on the podcast, a lot of previous guests are asking you podcast questions. He said, when do you know it's time to career pivot, accept a promotion or decline one, or make a big career move? So yeah, for you, what have been some of those signs that it's time?
The retirement was really easy.
Yeah.
Because my dad was long associated with Bank of Guam, and frankly, I thought about, he was legal counsel, the firm is counsel, and I thought, I just didn't want to tell him I was leaving, and that was on me, not on him. And so many times, like when I decided to leave, it really was, okay, Dad's gone, Lisa needs to be taken care of. It was obvious. When I made the changes to the airport, that was a little bit hard because I just came back home and I was thrown into this political thing about hiring and above step and all of that stuff. And it was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on. Um, but I think the pivot, I think, and I've talked to a lot of people. You honestly, you already know.
Mhm.
You know it's time for you to go. And whether it's the salary, the benefits, the people you work with, and many times when we leave a company, we leave the people.
Mhm.
And it's usually we leave the boss.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
And so we already know inside. And it's just like leaving a job, leaving a relationship. We already know. It's just that it's really hard.
Mhm.
It's hard. And a really good friend of mine said, Jackie, your issue with telling us that you were going to get a divorce is that you were embarrassed. We love you.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Mhm.
We want you to be happy. And I think your friends and your family want you to be happy.
Mhm.
And you know already
Mhm.
what you need to do.
Yeah.
You already know. Whatever that is, you know.
Right. Yeah, find that through Rise in the Line, a lot of the people have come through my coaching program, they're in a career pivot of sorts where it's like we're in the pro con list, but ultimately it's like the if you flip a coin, what are you hoping is going to land when it lands? Right? You already know the answer.
You
It's
know.
just a matter of almost being like kicked out a little bit of like make the decision and just that's why a lot of people move or change careers end of the year, beginning of the year. Like do I want to go through that over again or do I want to be at that company for another year? So just kind of tuning into that intuitive
You know.
knowing.
You
The
know.
knowing.
You already know you want to leave.
Yeah.
You just need to boot yourself out.
Yep. Simple answer. You already
You
know.
already know.
Love it. Okay, so this question is from Elizabeth. She asks, when you look back on it all, what were you most proud of and what would you have done differently?
Oh, that's easy. My children. My children are the most that I've been proud of. I'm so proud of you with this community. I'm so proud of Jessica with her community with Reconsidered. Our children, our grandchildren. Um, and probably this doesn't. I don't say this enough, but your spouse, your husband, and Jessica's husband are just really good men. How lucky
Mhm.
are we
Mhm.
to know that?
Shout out to Tim and Dave.
Yes, Tim and Dave, you I love you and I'm so proud of you. And I sometimes I look at you and you're going through, really tough times and you're patient and quiet. I just how lucky my daughters were to find these great young men
Yeah.
who really care for them and who care about being dads.
Oh, they're super dads.
They care and they want to be
Yeah.
dads.
Yeah, yeah. Totally. And now we have 3 grandkids in the mix. We have more, the more boys in the mix as well. It's used to being just the 3 of us for a long time. So, yeah. So most proud of your kids. Anything you would have done differently?
I think we're always going to say, I wish I had spent more time. But I also think that the time, whether it was for education or business travel, or even vacation, I think that served to strengthen me inside. So I think that was good. I wish, yes, could I have spent more time? Of course I could have spent more time. But I think what I see now is the product of balance.
Mhm.
I mean, balance of being with you, but also being away so that you could learn to grow,
Mhm.
whether it's with a nanny
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
yourselves.
Mhm. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of our rapid fires, which you don't know any of these questions at all, so I'm excited. So the first one is you've been to mostly every ENA event and retreat, as we mentioned. If you were to say, we'll split it up into event and retreat, but favorite ENA event and favorite ENA retreat, what would
Full
you
moon,
say? Full moon.
full moon, hands down. I love full moon. I love the community. I love the lighting. I love the venue. I love the music. I think full moon, and everybody says this. I have to go to full moon. I said, well, just go.
Okay, so full moon
So
flows at the museum.
at the museum, yes. Retreat. They're all really so wonderful in their own ways because of who attends.
Mhm.
Um, Kauai was great. And many times I haven't been there. So I hadn't been to Kauai. I went there. It was just a beautiful experience. Again, good, solid people there. Bali, what's to say about Bali? Bali is Bali bliss. It's just the most special place in the world. Um, Siargao
Mhm.
also, such a surprise for me because it reminded me of Guam in the 60s, and I really love that. Palau, love Palau. We love Palau. It's always been one of our favorite places.
Mhm.
So, but
Well,
again, people.
it's the
That
people.
it's the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and also attending different retreats at different stages, right? I feel like even for myself, I find that going into every retreat, I'm a different person, or I'm coming in with my own, different things, hosting the retreat. So they kind of shift and change based off of the season that you're
Hmm.
in as well. And I'm excited for 2026 because obviously we're going back to Bali, as well as some new destinations. So I'm excited to have you there too. So you are very well traveled. You always have been. You prioritize travel, and I feel like that's passed on to me and Jess that we have this travel bug that we're like, where are we going next? So, bucket list destination for you at this point.
Okay, I don't believe in bucket lists.
Yeah. Well, places on your
I-
places on your list. I know that you're talking about it, the reunion that
yes.
your classmates are
Okay.
doing.
So my classmates and I, we're all turning 72 this year,
Yeah.
and it's the class of 72 turning
Oh,
72.
big.
We're doing a cruise to the Norwegian fjords, and so excited about that. And hint, hint, um, next year
Mhm.
is our 55th anniversary, and it's the color green, emerald. And so we're actually thinking about, I know this is a secret to admit, but we're
Secret to the
actually,
ENA
yeah,
community.
yes, and we're actually looking to do something, a cruise to Ireland, to England and to Scotland. And I've been to Scotland once, and I just loved it.
Mm, love
So
it.
yeah,
And I love how close your classmates are and how you
they're
all,
great.
yeah, you guys are
They're great.
a crew.
Yes, we have been through a lot,
Yeah.
and not all classmates are friends.
Yeah.
We know that. Um, but we just we don't judge. We don't. I don't think we compare. We just enjoy each other, and we enjoy each other's company, and
Love
it's
it.
fun. It's great. How blessed to
Super.
have that.
All right. So we have with two pieces here, right? So obviously you've been a model. I've gone to you for a lot of advice around motherhood. You've had a front row seat to my motherhood journey. What advice would you give? Two-part question. What advice would you give to new moms? And then I'm also going to ask, what advice would you give to single moms?
Boy, that's a tough
I
one.
know.
I saw that. I'll tell you. I was watching my grandson and my granddaughter, and and my sister had come to help me. So we had the two of us, and she left. She's leaving, and I said, "How do single mom?" So I'm going to start with the
Mhm.
single moms, and then I thought I was a single mom.
Yeah.
I was a single mom, and you're a single mom, and then you have your career, you have to work to support the kids, you have romantic interests. How do you handle that? I would say for the single moms, ask for help.
Mhm.
Help is really important. And it's the same thing as new moms. Ask for help. Whatever it is, whether it's, sometimes you say, hey mom, can you watch him for a couple of hours? I know what it's like to be with a child, and it's like 2 hours, and I'm independent, and I don't have to wonder about what my shadow is doing. Um, I think asking for help is really important. I think, that, taking care of yourself, schedule you time, and you don't have to make a big deal about it. You don't have to do like brunch and this, go for a walk. Go sit in a cafe by yourself and just drink coffee without having to wonder, where the kids are. You would be so surprised. Um, Time for yourself, and um, asking for help.
Mm.
We don't ask enough. We don't ask for help enough. And watch, you're going to be asking me for help the whole
My
time.
mom, are you free
Hey, mom, are you
on
free?
Saturday? Yeah, I love that. Okay, 2 last questions. I know that yesterday or a couple days ago you were saying and you have shared that you've really started to prioritize reading more. You have
Oh,
a lot of books. You have a bunch of books that are on, like, stacked. So, what are you reading right now? Anything that you're excited to read?
um, Kristen Hanna is my very favorite author. She does historical fiction, and her style is just so what she the first book was called Women, and it was about women nurses in Vietnam. She was great. And so she got me hooked there. And so I just went and ordered like tons of Kristen Hanna books. So I love her. Um, what I like most about reading is that it really helps you to fall asleep.
Mhm.
None of this watching TV, none of this, scrolling because there's like a ton of that. But reading, it just I'm sitting there, I'm reading, I've got my eye shade next to me, and and it's it's the best sleep I always get a good night's sleep
Mhm.
with reading.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did it. And it was when I went to almost a year ago to Amsterdam for my third grandchild, my first granddaughter, and Jess and Dave gave me a couple of books to read. And I just said, okay, I have to get more.
Mhm.
So,
Love
yeah.
it. Okay, final question. And a lot of people always come up to me and they say like, "Oh my gosh, your mom looks amazing." When they find out how old you are, they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is she doing? What's her secret?" And I'm always thinking like, "I hope I have my mom's genes and I look like you as I age." But for you, I feel like it's more of a mindset shift, right? Yes, you've been taking care of yourself for a long time, but there's also a mindset shift around aging gracefully and still even just like having yeah, just viewing aging in a different way. So what would you say has been a mindset shift for you around aging?
Wisdom.
Mhm,
I think wisdom that we learn and that as a result of so much in the way of experience, hard lessons are okay, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, lessons are a good thing. I think that really it's been that. It's taking the lessons, learning from them, and wisdom, and be proud of what the wisdom you know, for those of us in our early 70s, it was hard to get to this point. I have known many friends that look really great. We work hard at being in good shape and in keeping our minds good and solid and smart. So yeah, I think that those two things really, really help in terms of the mindset. Be proud of the wisdom that
mhm,
you've earned. Be proud of your experiences, good and bad, lessons and not, because they're making you who you are now.
mhm. Well, this has been so fun to get to do tea talk with Jackie Marati. Such a special thing to do. So thanks for being on the show. Maybe we'll have you back for round 2.
Happy to. Always.
Yes,
Always. I
yes.
love you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please rate and review, and don't forget to subscribe. Learn more at enowellnesscollective.com and connect with us on Instagram at enowellnesscollective.